Hello, besties. Welcome to Folktales by IJ. I see we are getting close to 100 subscribers. It's no small feat, though. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the family. Today's story happened in a small university town, nestled between rolling hills and the bustling city life. There lived a beautiful young woman named Amara Okonkwo. She was in her third year at the university, pursuing a degree in economics, but her heart was far from numbers and theories. Amara had always been drawn to people, to love, and to compassion. But for all her gentle nature, she was the daughter of Chief Okonkwo, a man as fierce as he was wealthy. The chief had worked his way up the social ladder, and in his mind, only the best was good enough for his daughter, whether she liked his best or not. From the moment she entered university, her father's ambition for her had been very clear. He had plans that had little to do with her happiness. Chief Okonkwo had arranged for her to marry his old friend, Alhaji Suleiman, a man in his 50s who had everything but youth on his side. Alhaji was powerful, rich, intimidating, and respected. But to Amara, he was just a shadow of her father's ambition. Amara's heart, however, had already chosen its own path. She had met Chike during her second year, a shy, hardworking boy from a poor village. He was everything her father despised. Chike had nothing to offer in terms of wealth, but what he lacked in money, he more than made up for in kindness. He loved Amara with a sincerity that she had never known before. But love in their world was not enough. Amara knew the dangers of defying her father, yet she couldn't imagine a life without Chike. The two of them found solace in stolen moments, mating secretly, far from the eyes of her father and his powerful allies. They dreamed of a life where they could be free from the chains of wealth and status, but deep down, they both knew that such dreams were fragile. One evening, after a long day of classes, Amara returned home to find her father waiting for her. His face, hardened with age and pride, gave nothing away. But Amara knew what was coming. "Sit down, Amara," he said, his voice low but commanding. She obeyed, knowing better than to resist when he spoke like that. "I spoke with Alaji today," he began, his eyes scanning her face for any sign of rebellion. "Ready. The wedding will be in 6 months." The words hit her like a punch to the gut. She had known this day would come, but hearing it spoken aloud made it real in a way she wasn't prepared for. "Papa, please." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I don't love him. I can't marry him." Chief Okonkwo's expression darkened. "Love? What do you know of love? Love doesn't put food on the table. Love doesn't build empires. You will marry him, and that's final." Tears welled in Amara's eyes. "Papa, please. I love someone else. His name is Chike, and he..." "Chike," her father roared, standing abruptly. "That poor boy, that nobody. You dare bring his name into this house?" Amara recoiled, her heart racing. She had never seen him angry before. "I will not allow you to throw your life away for some worthless boy," Chief Okonkwo shouted, pacing the room like a lion preparing to pounce. "You will marry Alhaji, and that's the end of it." "Your happiness is irrelevant," Chief Okonkwo shouted, stepping closer to her. "You will marry Alhaji Suleiman, and that is final. If I ever hear about you meeting Chike again, I will deal with you myself." Amara began to cry. Amara went to her room as she lay in bed, her body trembling from the weight of her father's words. She reached for her phone and dialed Chike's number. His voice, soft and soothing, was the only comfort she had left. "I'm coming to see you," she whispered, wiping away her tears. "I'll be waiting," he replied, his voice filled with the same quiet determination that had drawn her to him in the first place. They met at their usual spot, a small clearing just outside the university grounds, hidden from prying eyes under the dim glow of the moon. They held each other, their eyes mingling with the night air. "I can't do this anymore," Amara sobbed. He wants me to marry Alaji. He's going to force me. Chike held her tighter, his heart breaking alongside hers. We'll find a way, he whispered. Though even he wasn't sure what they would do, he will figure something out. But deep down, they both knew that the forces against them were too strong. As long as Chief Okonkwo had a say, there would be no future for them. Days turned into weeks, and the tension in Amara's home grew unbearable. Chief Okonkwo, frustrated by her daughter's resistance, began using force to bend her to his will. He slapped her, yelled at her, called her ungrateful and foolish. Each beating left Amara more broken than the last. But through it all, her love for Chike remained unshaken. Whenever the pain became too much to bear, she would call him, and they would meet at their secret spot. Together they would cry, their tears mingling with whispered words of encouragement. Chike tried to hide the bruises left by Alaji's men. But Amara always knew. She knew that Alaji's men always intimidated and inflicted injuries on Chike. She could see the pain in his eyes, the hurt that mirrored her own. I don't know how much longer I can keep doing this, she said one night, her voice barely audible over the sound of her sobs. Every time I go home, my father yells at me, my father beats me, he frustrates me because of this. Chike held her close, his heart heavy with the knowledge that he couldn't protect her from the life she was being forced into. Alaji's men always burst into his room, tugging at him, harassing him, beating him, and leaving him in bruises. We'll leave, he said suddenly, his voice firm. We'll leave this place and start over, somewhere far away, where your father and Alaji can't find us. Amara looked up at him, her eyes wide with hope. Do you really think we could? Chike nodded. We'll find a way. But their secret meeting didn't go unnoticed. Alaji Suleiman, a wealthy old man, and a close friend of Chief Okonkwo, had grown impatient. He had been interested in marrying Amara for years and had been discussing the union with Chief Okonkwo. When words reached him that Amara was still seeing Chike, he decided to take the matter a little further. One evening, Alaji Suleiman sent his personal bodyguard, as usual, to the university to deliver a message to Amara. The bodyguard, a tall, intimidating man in a sharp suit, approached Amara as she left her class. Miss Amara, he said, bowing slightly, I bring you a proposal from Alaji Suleiman. He handed her a small velvet box, and inside it was an enormous diamond ring, one that gleamed with wealth and power. Amara's stomach churned as he opened the box. He couldn't even have the decency to propose to me himself. Attached was a note from Alaji Suleiman, promising her a life of luxury and comfort, far beyond what Chike could ever provide. Amara's face hardened. Tell Alaji Suleiman that I cannot be bought, she said coldly, handing the box back to the bodyguard. My answer is no. The bodyguard's expression didn't change, but his eyes narrowed slightly as he bowed once again. As you wish. Amara walked away, her heart pounding, knowing that her refusal wouldn't be taken lightly, as she was right. Very right. Alaji Suleiman, upon hearing her response, was furious. The next day, he sent a group of thugs to Chike's hostel. They found him alone, sitting quietly by his bed, and without warning, they attacked. They beat him viciously, leaving him bruised and bloodied. Chike fought back as best as he could, but he was outnumbered and overpowered. The attack left Chike with wounds, both emotionally and physically. He didn't want Amara to know about what had happened, afraid that she would blame herself or be forced into accepting Alaji's proposal out of fear for his safety. So he kept it to himself, hiding the pain and hoping the violence one day would stop. Meanwhile, Amara's situation at home was not better. It continued to deteriorate. When her father found out about her latest defiance of Alaji Suleiman, he was beside himself with rage. He could no longer tolerate her disobedience for refusing Alaji Suleiman's proposal. That night, Chief Okonkwos called Amara into his room once again, his face dark with anger. "You will not disgrace this family, Amara," he hissed. "I have tried to be patient with you, but you continue to test me. If you do not marry Alhaji Suleiman, I'll make sure you and that boy suffer the consequences for the rest of your lives." Amara stood tall, her eyes blazing with defiance. "I'll never marry him, Papa. I love Chike, and nothing you do will change that." Chief Okonkwo's eyes narrowed. In a flash, he raised his hand and struck Amara across the face, sending her reeling backwards. The slap echoed through the room, followed by a deadly silence. Amara clutched her cheek, tears streaming down her face. "You will obey me, or I will destroy you and that boy," Chief Okonkwo spat. This wasn't the first time he had beaten her because of this, but something about this night felt different. The tension was unbearable, and Amara knew she couldn't take it anymore. She ran out of the house, her heart pounding in her chest. She grabbed her phone and called Chike as she ran. "I need to see you," she sobbed into the phone. "I can't take this anymore. Meet me at our spot." Amara rushed down the road, her tears blurring her vision. She didn't care about the danger. She just needed to be with Chike. But as she crossed the street in her desperation, a large trailer appeared out of nowhere. Its brake failed, and before she could react, it slammed into her with a sickening crunch. The world seemed to stop. Blood pooled around her crumbled body as bystanders screamed and rushed to help, but it was too late. Amara was gone. When Chief Okonkwo received the news of his daughter's death, he was paralyzed with grief. His heart, hardened by pride, began to crumble under the weight of the loss. But in his devastation, he refused to blame himself. Instead, he turned his anger towards Chike. In his mind, Chike was the reason for everything that had gone wrong. If Amara hadn't defied him, if she hadn't loved that boy, she would still be alive. Fueled by rage and sorrow, Chief Okonkwo had Chike arrested, accusing him of causing Amara's death. Chike, broken by the news of Amara's death and still recovering from the beating he had just endured, he didn't resist. He went to jail, filled with grief and despair. But Chief Okonkwo's torment didn't end there. One night, as he lay in his bed, Amara appeared to him in a dream. She was dressed in white, her face calm and peaceful, but her eyes were filled with sadness. "Papa," she said softly, her voice echoing in the stillness, "Chike is innocent. He truly loved me. He didn't deserve what you did to him." Chief Okonkwo fell to his knees in the dream, tears streaming down his face. "Amara, I am sorry. I am so sorry, and I miss you." "Release Chike," she whispered, fading into the mist. "Let him go." Chief Okonkwo woke up in a cold sweat, his heart pounding in his chest. He couldn't shake the dream, and for the first time, he began to question his actions. Guilt consumed him, and he realized that he had been wrong. He realized that his pride had made him lose his precious daughter. The next day, he went to the police station and ordered Chike's release. When Chike walked out of the prison, his face hollow and his spirit broken, Chief Okonkwo was there waiting. He extended his hand, but Chike, faced with sorrow and regret, refused to shake him. "I am sorry," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Chike didn't say anything. He looked at the man who had destroyed his life, destroyed the very love of his life, but all he could feel was emptiness. Without a word, he turned and walked away, leaving Chief Okonkwo standing alone in his grief. Amara's tragic death left a scar on the life of those who loved him, especially Chief Okonkwo, who was once a proud and powerful man, was forever haunted by the choices he made. Chike, though released from prison, felt the loss of Amara every blessed day of his life. Chike, though broken, could not find it in his heart to hate the man who had caused him so much pain. Amara had loved her father despite everything, and in that love, Chike found the strength to forgive Chief Okonkwo. In the years that followed, Chief Okonkwo established a scholarship in Amara's name, helping poor students like Chike to pursue their dreams. It was his way of seeking redemption, though the hole in his heart remained. Chike, now free, carried the memory of Amara with him always, a love that had been pure and true, yet tragically cut short. And in the quiet moments when the world fell silent, he could still hear her voice, whispering softly in the wind. A final goodbye, it was. Would linger in his heart forever. And I know you'll be asking, what happened to Alhaji Suleiman? Nobody ever heard from him again. Can you imagine? Hope you enjoyed our story today. Thank you so much for staying glued to the end. And I want to say thank you again to our new subscribers. This is a family of love. I promise to keep bringing you more interesting African folktale stories. Have you liked? Have you shared? Have you dropped a comment in the comment section? Please tell us where you're coming from and tell us what you learned from the story. Please share and subscribe. Thank you and see you next time. Bye.